I, female 25, and parents, female 58 and male 59, had always been super close. My parents were married to each other for the past 25 years. They met during one of their business conferences as they worked in the same field, and it hit off from there. They had me when they had been dating for about 2 years, and that's when they decided to tie the knot. I thought they were a pretty happy couple, although very much invested in their careers. I believe that they tried their best to make time for each other and me, and that all their hard work was to provide a better future and lifestyle for me. I never had any suspicions as my parents were pretty open and detailed when it came to talking about their careers, even though I did not understand much of the business oriented terminologies. I remember whenever they came back from one of their trips, we visited my favorite restaurants for a family dinner. It brings a warm feeling every time I think about it. When I turned 18, I decided to move countries for my undergrad and postgrad education. Being well off, my parents completely funded my education, and so I knew I had been set for my success. Because of these reasons, my focus completely stayed on the studies, and in the 3 years of my bachelor's, I could only visit my family 3 times in total as my schedule always somehow overlapped with my parents. Within the first year of college, I felt I had settled well into the environment as I managed to make a lot of friends, get a part time gig, and also had started going out with a guy from my work. Being bullied all my school years for my body, during my senior year of high school, I had started working out to build a good body and started living a healthy lifestyle, which also gave me a confidence boost, so there was not much I could say. There was not much I missed back in my home country. Things went on like they did all through undergrad and grad school. I believe I visited my parents a total of 6 times throughout the span of 5 years of my university years, and things were as good as they could be. When I think about the entire situation, I believe there wasn't a single time I thought something suspicious was going on except for the one situation that had slightly caught my attention. By the time I turned 22, I had finished my master's and right after my graduation had landed an amazing job in my career field. I had about a month's break before I could start my new job, so I decided to fly over to my home country to spend some quality time with my parents. During one of our family dinners, while returning home, I found a receipt in his car one time that had a bunch of meals and a lot of alcohol on it. The bill seemed pretty huge for someone traveling alone, especially considering the fact that he always claimed he would only go to his meetings and conferences and head straight to bed or work on his projects. The location of the restaurant on the bill was from the city he last visited. When I asked my dad about it out of curiosity, he claimed that he had no idea where it came from and that one of his colleagues might have accidentally left it behind while he dropped them off at home. This reason was convincing enough to me because my mom was right there and her reaction seemed as normal as it could be. The trip ended and I came back to my home country and had forgotten all about the situation and only had good memories with the time I had spent with my parents. After about a year of working at my job, the whole virus situation happened, and like most of us, I started working from home. I kept up with my family and friends in this situation, and although my parents claimed to have a hard time adjusting to staying at home for such a long time, they said that things were going well. This was all before my dad caught the virus. According to my mom, he did not show any symptoms at the start and was hospitalized only when he started facing breathlessness. He had many conditions alongside this, and his already poor health did not help his case. Thankfully, my mom hadn't contacted him, but I still had no way of being there for her due to the travel ban. So when I realized my dad passed away, I was utterly devastated beyond words that I couldn't say my last goodbye to him. After his death, my mom had moved out of the house to one of her other properties she owned, as she claimed she could not live in the same house as my father did, as I tried to provide her moral and emotional support from miles away. Things went on this way for about 6 months as I had slowly found myself accepting the situation before I received the call I wish I never had. The house caretaker, who had been working for us for the past 10 years, called me in tears, informing me that she found my mom not awake at her usual time for coffee. So when she went to wake her up, she found my mom unconscious and not breathing and instantly called 911. My mom was taken to the hospital where the doctors informed her that she had passed away suffering a cardiac arrest. This only devastated me furthermore. As I lived in a highly infected country, I could not visit my mother's funeral. Heartbreaking as it was, with the help of my amazing friends and boyfriend, I was able to heal from the guilt of not being able to help my mother a lot better than I thought. As the days went on and I was trying to cope with the grief, I received an email from an unknown sender. As I read into the email, I found out it was my parents' lawyer and he wanted to organize a call to discuss my parents' assets and such. I had a rough idea of what I would inherit from seeing my parents' assets combined, and although I did not expect anything out of my parents, I thought it was needless to say that my parents had left it all to me, so I decided to set up a time where we could talk. During the call, the lawyer started off by telling me that I am not the only recipient of my parents' will. Even though that was a bit shocking, as neither of my parents were really close to anyone, I continued to listen to what he had to say. He went on to reveal that my parents had been married long before they met each other and have children with their partners except for me. I had two half siblings from my mother and three from my dad's side. This was not only shocking but also devastating because I instantly figured that I was the secret family, as all of my half siblings were almost the same age as mine or older. I stayed completely silent throughout the call as he explained to me the legalities and how there was a great chance on my dad's side of the family to protest against my will because my dad did not leave anything to his youngest two children, who he believed were the result of infidelity. According to him, I was only told of this now because my dad and mom had told him he was only allowed to reveal this to me after they had both passed, so that I could reach out to my half-siblings, bond over grief, which was honestly toxic to hear. When I asked him about the funeral and how my parents were able to quarantine together, he told me that my parents had quarantined with their families and would only meet up every time we had organized a video call. Apparently, my dad being hospitalized had revealed the news of my parents' affair. My mother's husband, too, had filed for divorce. I thanked the lawyer for his time and told him to leave me the contact of my half-siblings. I am overwhelmed by all this information being revealed, as if the death of both of my parents wasn't enough grief in the span of 6 months. I'm very conflicted and am definitely going to see a therapist. I guess my question to you all is, would I be the a-hole if I refuse to contact my parents' family? I don't think I am, but when I talked to my boyfriend, he suggested I should give them a chance to get to know me, saying things like just because my parents were terrible people shouldn't mean that they would be too, so I would appreciate any input. Update 1. A month has passed before I could even decide if I wanted to contact my half-siblings. My parents' lawyer contacted me to inform me that my dad's second wife and my half-siblings, male 22 and female 24, will be contesting against my dad's will under undue influence. He continued to say that my step-siblings believe that the only reason they were left out of the will was due to the fact that I influenced my dad into it, and it makes no sense to me nor the lawyer, as I did not even know about their existence until now. He stated that they are especially only after my will and not my other siblings, as they know that my mother was a wealthy woman as well. This makes no sense to me because what my mom does to me has nothing to do with them. Travel restrictions have slightly improved, and my lawyer suggested that it would be best if I could fly out to sort out these matters, which I agree with. Thankfully, as I am still allowed to work from home, I can do my work remotely while I work through these issues. No one from my dad's family has reached out to me otherwise. Now about my mom's family, I received an email from my stepbrother, male 25, this morning, and I was ready to expect the worst like my dad's family. Surprisingly, it was a very pleasant conversation where he asked me how I was, about my life and such. He seemed very calm and a nice person, so I decided to give him my phone number. We have been talking quite a lot today and plan to continue doing so until we feel comfortable enough to set up a meeting when I visit or a video call. I feel a bit better about the situation from reading your comments and hearing your opinion. I would still appreciate some legal advice. What do you all think my next move should be? Do my step-siblings have any leg to stand on about their case? Thank you for reading once again. NTA for not wanting to maintain any sort of relationship with your parents' families, but just a piece of advice, please don't jump onto any conclusions right now about them like your boyfriend said. Give yourself some time to get your thoughts straight about the whole situation. Get in contact with the ones who are not after your money after you feel good enough to do so and see where things go. Only if you feel 100% comfortable, though. NTA. Definitely get an attorney that is a second opinion than your parents' lawyer. The laws differ from state to state, so it would be better to get an attorney to get advice and know what rights you have. Good luck to you, OP. I have known my wife for 7 years, married for 4, she's 6 months pregnant with our first child. I have an indoor cat who I raised from a kitten to his current age of 16 years. My wife and I are the only people he's been around regularly. My wife has suddenly developed allergies to the cat. We talked with our doctor and he said sometimes this can happen. My wife wants me to rehome my cat. I don't want to do this. He's old, he only knows me and my wife, he only knows our home. He's not been around other people or animals. I think it would be very stressful for him, and at this age, it might just kill him. I offered my wife a compromise. We can stay with her parents, who live 10 minutes away, and have no issues with us taking the spare bedroom until the baby is born, and then if the allergies persist for her or the baby, I can look into, very carefully, finding my cat a permanent new home. I check in on my cat every day. My wife called me a huge a-hole for prioritizing my cat over her and the baby's health. I just don't want to traumatize my cat over something that might be temporary. AITA? Update and edit. None of it matters anymore. After I read the response to my original post, I started thinking about other options so my wife and I could stay in our home. My brother lives a few hours away and he spent a few years living with my cat when we were younger, so I called him and explained the situation. He agreed to adopt him, but he was out of town, so the soonest he could come pick him up was the weekend after next. I told my wife that we would have to keep the cat for less than 2 weeks until my brother gets here, and until then, she would have to use allergy tablets or stay with her parents. She became furious and said she was not going to leave our house and the cat had to go ASAP. I told her this was the best I could do. I was not going to give my cat away to whatever random person stopped by first. Yesterday, I got home from work and I couldn't find my cat. I asked my wife and she told me, no hesitation, nothing, that she dropped him off at an animal shelter. Her words, I am pregnant and miserable and you wouldn't get rid of him, so I did. I didn't argue. I just asked her to tell me which shelter and drove straight there. I didn't see my cat at the cages in the shelter. When I showed the lady working there a picture of my cat, she started apologizing. She said they put him with the other cats, but later they were bringing in a large dog, which they have to take dogs past the cat cages to the dog cages. The dog jumped at my cat's cage and barked at him, and my cat panicked and had a heart attack, her guess. He died. They gave me his body in a shoebox. I took him home. My wife started apologizing once she saw him, but I ignored her and went straight to the backyard and buried him. I called my brother earlier today and explained what happened. He started yelling into the phone that my wife murdered my cat and I need to reconsider my relationship. I just feel numb. I haven't said a word to my wife. I don't think I can even look at her. I don't know what I'm going to do. That's not a compromise. Kicking your wife out of your home when she's 6 months pregnant is really not something you want to do if you value your relationship at all. I met my girlfriend Val a year and a half ago. We've been together exclusively for a year and some change. We have fun together, have the same sense of humor, and are interested in the same things. When we first met, she had low self-esteem, so I would compliment her a lot and try to build her up. Now I think that was a mistake. Everything was smooth sailing, but for the last few months she's been telling me about different guys that have told her they're interested in her and would ask her out if she was single or have checked her out. First I was just like, okay, cool I guess, because I didn't really know how I was supposed to react. She continued doing it. Sometimes it was somebody she worked with, other times just some random dude she passed in a store. A couple weeks ago I said something about my female friend's girlfriend. Val said, oh, friend's name is gay? I thought she was checking me out before. I pretty much just rolled my eyes at that. We went swimming a few weeks ago. After we walked by a couple guys, Val said, did you see that? They were checking me out. I saw them sitting there, but it didn't look like they checked her out. They just looked in our direction when we walked by. The last straw was last weekend. We went to my friend's house for a birthday party. My friend Will was there. Will is a really nice guy, can talk to anyone and make them feel welcome. He's also gay. Him and Val really got along and were chatting for a while. On our way back to my place, Val said, I think Will might have a crush on me. I said, doubt it, he's just friendly. She said, no, it seemed like he was interested. I said, Will's gay. Val said, well then he must be bi because he was checking me out. I sort of snapped and said, this has got to stop. Everyone is not attracted to you or checking you out. Some people are just looking in your direction or being nice. I said, I'm not jealous, but this is beyond annoying. You sound conceited and it's a major turnoff. I ended up telling her she should go home that night instead of staying over at my place. I haven't really talked to her since besides a text she sent. She texted me Tuesday and said, when you're ready to apologize for acting like a jealous a-hole, let me know. I don't think I should apologize, but maybe I was just being jealous and this is something I should just deal with. AITA? NTA. Dump her narcissistic butt and tell her it should be no problem since many of these interested guys are available for her anyway.